All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Minecraft Musings when login issues strike. So, I gotta say, and as embarrassing as it could be, but, oh, actually, as I'm saying that, I remembered the alarm, I got everything going, good, and then, boom. Basically, I did another video just now where I was muted the entire time because I didn't test my equipment. So, and I share this with two little kiddos, so. Anyways, which is good because I don't let them, I don't know. Like we play games like Among Us where they have it with selective chat to where you can only pick from certain chat options, and if they play any other games, they have to keep their microphone muted. They can't talk with because the thing is I know how to problem solve with the things that I know that they're interacting with, but if they start talking with people around the world, you know, then they have to start problem solving a whole different problem solving set. And so I think that's why anyone, you try to keep your kids with certain age appropriate content that needs to be reevaluated, and then also all of this, and yeah, to a point. Because, oh, whoops, what did I just craft? Crafted. Ow. Oh, all right, we're doing it. We're going to make a room out of crafting tables because I accidentally clicked the crafting tables. I can't get up there. I need some sticks and ladders. Because we do need to expand a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then that'll remind us. Be like, ah. Okay, we'll make some ladders. Yeah. Oh, we did need... Alright, let's go chop some more trees. And do we have a second axe? We do. Okay. Let's go chop up the trees. Also, we have this. We need to plant the trees. Okay. Oh, I love this game because it's just like so much like you have to do this, but then you realize, oh, but I need this to do that. And then Portal Knights is also really fun in that respect. And I've been doing a few of those videos as well. It's because like you got to go all the way back to these places. like what? I just did that. And that's an age old theme. If you've been playing video games, you kind of notice that thing like, what is it? Like Banjo-Kazooie was a good example for the Nintendo 64 because you had to run around accomplishing these quests and collecting these items. But then if you realize, oh wait, I didn't collect that item from this part of the map that it takes, this long to get to, then you gotta take this long to go over there and get it, and then come all the way back because the game won't let you progress until you get that item. So, oh, we had so much good stuff in that muted one. I'll try to recreate it. But basically I was talking about how computer science is like the ultimate way to just problem solve. Like anybody who likes to solve puzzles gets that little enjoyment out of solving a puzzle, or computer science is it. Like there is so much to it that it's just one giant video game that never stops. It gets more complex, it grows, and yeah. It's also kind of scary. Then you think about things like Futurama and stuff with like once the brains know everything, then they blow up the universe or something so that no new knowledge can be created. And that sounds like such a scalable thing that an artificial intelligence would do. So that's why we got to be careful with AI. I saw the president gave a talk about it. Um, it's dangerous. So as long as, well, I don't know. So here's the thing. Most of the AI would be to help enhance our life, and it does. People, when they hear AI, if they don't understand, or if they aren't very familiar with it, it seems really scary, and it could be scary potentially. But for the most part, artificial intelligence is really just trying to automate or trying to make a machine do our tasks. Okay, well that still sounds like the scary version, but okay, here's where it is. So as long as we keep a hold of the automated tasks and how we define those tasks, and even then we still need fail-safes, oh. So my biggest fail-safe, the most scalable fail-safe, would be to program the AI, but then you couldn't have any shortcomings. Oops, I forgot you left this part out. No, just to be to think like a human that doesn't have finite resources, or maybe they do, but they don't have too much of a sense of urgency. Because in our genetic, the way we're made, we do have a fight or flight response. We do have natural instincts for a reason that have developed over time. Because if we don't do these actions or do these things, we could die. And not to freak anybody out. So that's the other thing too, is you could be paralyzed with an overactive response mechanism in you. You could be like too, and that's where you get anxiety problems and stuff, and analysis paralysis. But to the point where it could be debilitating, totally. Like, if you could feel completely lost and not really knowing what to do, yeah. Oh, the other cool thing from the last video was, how do you defeat yourself? I was thinking about the whole Star Wars idea. You got Luke facing himself. That's one of his challenges to become a Jedi. Is like, if you can problem solve with yourself, then you can problem solve with other people better, because you need to fully understand yourself before you start telling other people what to do and what to say and how to do it. Like, or if you're to be a trusted person. And see, it's not that people are out there trying to do harm. Maybe they just didn't know. Like, there's a thing in Marine basic training where there's a poster and they say, "Let no man's ghost say, if only they had trained me better." And it said man's because, back in a time when only men, or mostly men. And so that's another problem solving step, is like, okay, well, if people are going to die, who do we choose dies? Like, who gets thrown into the meat grinder? Like, it's really messed up, but that is human problem solving, because that's us. That's what we did. We did that, not some foreign alien from Saturn or something. And even if it was an alien from Saturn, what we know about elements in life and what's strewn about is anything that we could do, someone else could potentially do. So that's why it's like, I can see why we would still need defenses if, like, from a foreign invader. But as far as our own stuff, I feel like we're right on the verge of, once we understand that we really are all people and really, really understand it, like, we can say it, oh, it's humanity and all this. But until people have their very own aha moment and they get forced into, or they happen into another universe or whatever makes it happen, then they start to see, oh, okay, I understand their problems, and now I have sympathy and empathy for them. So then I want to help them solve those problems. And that's human nature too. Again, not some space alien from Saturn. Everybody, every last human, given the opportunity, would do that. It's built into our DNA. It's built into our survival mechanism. If we see somebody that's down and out, we want to help them. Now, I say that, but we want to help them as much as we can stand it. And that was the other thing. Maybe it was a good thing that because I started talking about some personal business, which that's not a good way to problem solve, because it could come off as offensive. So I'm going to continue to try to problem solve with these particular two people that I'm thinking of. And not in any nefarious way, mind you. It's all law-abiding. It's all legal. Like, I would never... And that's the other thing to understand. Like, the Scarface times and the mobsters and all that. They were trying to problem solve the best they could. And then when that wasn't enough... Ooh, I also turned on my sound because I was trying to figure out something else. And anyways, there we go. Talking with another good friend from back home that we didn't even meet until we were actually in class together. So, a fellow problem solver. I feel like we all are, because again, we're not aliens from Saturn. Like, and I feel like I got a little too high on a pedestal the other day. I was telling somebody that I could teach her how to code, because she was... Oh, without giving too much personal information, because again, I don't know if I'll ever get popular with this. But the scalable way is, the safe way is to cover your bases, and just assume that anything you say can and will be transmitted to the masses at one point or another. So choose accordingly. And that's silly. Ooh, I didn't even realize you could do that. That is weird. Because I'm so used to not really having them close together like that, because you have to have that situation. You have to have water adjacent. So the only time that would happen is either that or if I broke this. Oh, but that is interesting. So without looking too much like a swastika, see, it's like, but again, that's those were people too. They were people that were left to horrible decisions, horrible problem solving, and horrible problems to solve too. And thank goodness we're past that point. Like, although that's why Mad Max and things like that are so popular, because then there's the idea of like, well, what if it goes back? Like, what if we do lose? And then, the sad reality is we would be all cutthroat and evil like that. And it's a scary thing to think about. Well, I can't say that for sure, actually, because it depends on how much communication survives, because a lot of our actions are based on the more natural and, like, the animalistic side of our existence. Like, the immediate needs get met. And that's because we get our little warning signals. Like, if you get hungry, your body tells you, hey, I'm starting to get hungry. And if you forget to eat, Oh, and that's one of the biggest things. And how do you communicate to that to somebody? Sorry, I'm dealing with some of my other problem solving. My kiddo, he just won't eat. So I gotta figure that out. But personal stuff, let's, yeah, keep that off. But I don't know. But in general, kids can be picky eaters. And it can depend on a bunch of different factors. It can depend on, are they having a good day, a bad day, or whatever, or something else going wrong. Like, were you not able to get that toy for them that they really wanted? And in their eyes, they see you as having unlimited money, and so they take it as offensive. It's like, oh, no, they don't love me enough to get me this toy. Oh, so and so's parents get them that toy. And that's just something that's hard to avoid. And we recognize that, especially here in America, because of our capitalism and Christmas and our gift giving and all that, and just our nature. Like, we try to get control of the gift giving aspect. Mm. And so let's take a look at that a little closer. So when you give a gift, it makes you happy. You get rewarded in your brain because you just did something good for somebody. Now, that can be addicting just as any street drug, like, because it is a chemical reaction in your brain. A chemical is released that says yes. That's why it's like, religion, I totally see it. You see the churches and they make fun of it in movies like Friday, like with the Ice Cube and Chris Tucker and all that, and like the whole series. So those are kind of fun to watch, but also good to know, because it's like, you got things like, well, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting. Like, life is one big anthropology class. We're all out there trying to study each other, figure each other out. I remember Zoolander, where he's like, "Oh, I'm the caveman. Oh, you must study me," and all this, and like, but it's true. Like, we're trying to figure out, okay, well, why does Ben Stiller have a mansion in Malibu and I don't? Like, right there. And then he's probably looking at that like, ooh, if he ever saw this, he'd be like, oh, this, do I need to be worried? Or like, no, because he's a person. He's not from Saturn. He's not some like alien or anything. He got lucky and found acting. Not lucky, sorry, I say that, but there's a lot of work that goes into acting, a lot of hardship, a lot of suffering, scraping, starving artists. Like, I'm not trying to say that none of that happens. That totally does happen. And that's what people don't understand. They see the money. They're like, oh, well, they don't care about us. Ooh, they hate us. Ooh, let's get them, Then that's like the slippery slope to why wealth inequality is so dangerous. I mean, that's how you get like purge situations. I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. Like, that's no, like, can you imagine? Just kidding. But that is a scary thought. Like, we need to solve these problems the right way, though. I mean, because nobody want, and that here's why. So the reason that the purge would never work, because everybody that would participate in the purge would, it's like every time you would do something like that. Sorry, I'm talking about killing somebody. You run the risk of getting PTSD and being messed up yourself. So with killing somebody, you are then infected with the chance that your brain breaks. So, and just simply just seeing like how our veterans come back from war and stuff. And mind you, it makes me grow even more sympathy for the countries that we were occupying for 20 years. Like, and again, South Park. South Park's been saying it this whole time because they got it. Like, they're a couple mountain kids from a small mountain town. Like, what was it, Matt Stone or oh, I get them mixed up, but because I remember back in the day, I was one of the OGs. Like, I got the original South Park fans. I got the box set. And mind you, I was poor, living in a trailer, and I chose to invest my money, hard-earned money, into that. So, but anyways, I digress. That's just kind of something for you to understand. So the fan base and stuff. And it's a lot of weight for an artist. Like, I mean, anyways, let's go back to the whole occupation thing. Like, all of the death. Think about all of the stuff that happened around that. Like, families just destroyed. And so that's a lot of problems. Now, here's the thing. If you choose the quick solution, the fast solution, I think about horrible bosses as I say this, because there's a guy on there that, he's got a substance problem, but he's like, oh, let's just do it the cheap, easy way. Let's save the money and let's dump these chemicals somewhere or something. And he was supposed to be the horrible boss, like the one you're not supposed to like the villain of the story. But that's the thing. It's like, nobody's really a villain. They just do villainous things. Like, that's why that was the whole point of Scooby-Doo. Like, and even that villainous boss, let's walk through his thing. So he's got a substance problem, because whatever his needs didn't get met somewhere along the way, someone didn't spank him enough or hug him enough as a kid, or that's what we usually say about, oh, that's the fire. I thought that sounded like a creeper. I should probably protect against that, but yeah, not that big of a deal. So, anyways, it's just people that become villainous. I don't know, even that doesn't seem fair because we're all capable of it and we all do it unless we don't. And that's why like the family name, so I was talking with my buddy, I don't think see that's the problem when I mute myself on one. I can't remember what I said in the other one and what I said in this one. So if I ever seem like I repeat myself a lot, that's probably because I don't remember if I said this and but it does need to be said, so I'll go ahead and say it. Like, oh, don't forget this, and then because I don't know, maybe that's because that poster, like, let no man's ghost say if only they had trained me better. I mean, yeah, the sexism in it too, but also like it's just, hmm. And you don't get the same feel, like the same like lightning bolt through you, like the prestige worldwide. Saying if no humans first, because then you're like, what human? What are you, a nerd, Poindexter? And your argument falls apart really quickly. However, if you're problem solving to the point where you're trying to protect against enemies, foreign and domestic, which they all swear that oath. By the way, that's the oath that the oath keepers are talking about. The demographic of people that serve in the military specifically are are trained. Well, I mean, obviously they're trained. They're trained extensively to do one thing and one thing really good: protect this country. Now, that also translates into killing people and invading. So, again, with runaway religion and runaway politics and runaway this and that and again, it's not that they're nefarious, evil people at the top. No, it's they have to make some hard decisions on what they have, and so that's the thing. That's why we need to like really, then the people were like, well, wait, how do you fix that? You ban money from campaigning. That's it. Just ban money from campaigning. If everybody had an equal seat at the table, and I'm talking everybody, everybody's got a computer, everybody's got a voice, everybody's got a YouTube channel nowadays. Like everybody can weigh in on things. So that's where we need to get to. Now, mind you, it's going to be ugly for a while. It is, and I apologize to everybody that I've upset, and that's why I'm not too proud of my Twitter. Like it's political, and I hate it. But see, that's me untangling my own set of cords. Like, because I grew up like fiercely liberal, like I don't know, it was bad, and then surrounded in a sea of fiercely MAGA, like, no, just fiercely Republican, because a lot of them served in the military. Like the more tougher you were, the more willing you were to move up to the mountains. That's kind of my opinion of it, because I'm the first person to not serve in my family. Period. Like, no, I'm just kidding. A lot of the women didn't serve. But as far as the men, my grandpa, my dad, my great grandpa, like my uncles all served in Vietnam. Like, my farming family, a bunch of Republican military, like, so I get it. I get it. And I upset a lot of people, even in my own family, when I came out saying, like, not came out, I'm not gay or anything, but like, not that it would matter. I mean, but the thing is like, I had to say, I don't agree with you. And that's hard to someone that you're supposed to be like, because you pass a clearance check with that demographic because you're related. But then you instantly can fail that clearance check with like, oh, but they're a liberal. And it's like, oh, then they roll their eyes and then, like whatever. Like, oh, no, that just means that they went and saw the other side and realized, oh, wait, no, we need to fix those problems too. Now, don't get me wrong. We need to fix a lot of the Republican problems too. The veterans, all that. Like that's why I love Jon Stewart because he did that thing. He fought tooth and nail for that burn pit thing. And I also understand why the Republicans tried to fight it too, is because their bottom line is try to save money. Like they're tired of borrowing money from the government. They're tired. Sorry, because I say that like I've seen some reports of like the states that get the most from the federal government are usually red states. So and then you say that, and it's like, oh, well, that doesn't mean that they're wrong. That doesn't mean that they can't solve problems. It just means that, see, it's really hard because it's really problem sets. Like, there's different problem sets for all of these demographics. And that's why watching things like Black Sheep is good, because then you see Chris Farley going through all that, and they're trying to see like, how do we appease to these voters or these voters, and it's like, how do we? And then how much can we really do? Like, how do we win the votes? How do we make it sound good enough to where they'll vote for us? And then how do we, with the resources we have, fix only the problems that we can? And then, because everything's still finite. It's not like, hey, once you get elected to the president, I'm going to change everything. And I say that because I have a history with, I did student council. I did all sorts of leadership things. I was awarded the Optimist Club award at one point. Just because I was an optimistic. Because I understood things, the bigger picture. Like, I think I always have. And I think that's because my dad talked to me like an adult. Like, he treated me like he trusted me because I was supposed to protect him. Now, oof, there's a bunch of stuff to unpack there. But really, the way that I was shooting guns like first grade. So mind you, I was ready. I was going to be a great soldier. I was going to serve this country, all this stuff. And I still am like a great shot. I don't have any guns anymore. That's fine that you know that because I could kill you with like literally anything in this house, but if I had to. And I hate that I keep saying that, but it's like, okay, well, if you say it online that you don't have guns and you're a target. Well, no, not really. And actually, the more that you say that you could kill somebody with anything, kind of makes you sound like a psycho. So let's just back away from that. So my point is, I am a big dude, and I have fought. Like I've been in fist fights and stuff, and I've done pretty well. But same with like people that mouth off to people that box. It's like, oof. Or and actually, I knew a boxer once that yeah, he accidentally. Oof. So, long story short, he was in a fight or something, and then a cop jumped in to try to break it up, and he turned and started beating up the cop, and like, oh my gosh, like that's how you get in like big trouble, and he didn't even know, he had no idea, like he was in something else, and instead of that, and that's the other thing too, like people expect people to be on their best behavior when interacting with police. Like, have you ever been tased? Have you ever been pepper sprayed? Have you ever been like ordered to get down on your knees? Like, how dare you talk to me like that? Most people would say that, right? And that's why I love Breaking Bad too, because there's that scene where he comes out, he's having a bad day, and it doesn't matter what's going on. The cop's looking at him like, sir, because at the end of the day, the cop was supposed to write that ticket, or he gets in trouble by his supervisor. That's just the nature of it. He has a job to do. He caught him with a broken windshield and said, and he even said that in there. He's like, sir, regardless of how this windshield became broken, it is your responsibility to repair it. And he would have just given him a warning had he been like, oh, actually, I don't know. I say that, but he did write the ticket. So right there, it depends on the day that the officer is having. He could have been the third or fourth stop, the third or fourth person to mouth off to him. Like then it's like in psychology they call it displacement or whatever is that projection. Um, but it's a concept. See, you should go look it up if you're so inclined, or go attend a university and get $40,000 to $60,000 in debt. So anyway, yikes. Yeah, no, it's a problem. We got to figure it out. All of it. Like we got to fix it. We can't fix it overnight because then that causes more problems, people's livelihoods, and that's why we got to be careful. It's untangling cords. It's not yanking cords apart and ripping them apart to where they break. That's what we do a lot of times when we problem solve because we get emotional, frustrated, and not having food. That's why, think about the Buddha. The Buddha's always happy because he makes the best decisions because he's got a big old belly. I'm just kidding. If food alone were to solve the problem, yeah, it doesn't. And America has a severe weight loss problem because of it, because we thought, hey, we could just make sure everybody has food. Well, that's not enough. Everybody needs food, but then everybody needs a jungle gym. We need to exercise. We need to run wild. We need to go play. We need to have fun and all that. And it's like, okay, so now we gotta fix that. So I don't know. People are very resilient. We don't give ourselves enough credit, but at the same time, there are so many things that we could do better. That's why I'm so excited about the communication thing. Like, because and Mr. Beast too, and people like that, and like, yeah, he did it to get famous, and maybe he's not still. I don't know. Like, that's kind of like a scary thing to think about. Is like, what if he did that? But I'm just kidding. I know that he has Mr. Beast philanthropy, so I know he's still doing projects like that. And if I ever have doubt, I could just go check on it and see what he's doing, or not. I mean, he already did a lot more than the average person. So like, right there. It's now time for everybody to do that. Anybody that has more than like $1 million better pull a Mr. Beast. Like that's just it. Like if you don't do a Mr. Beast after you make $1 million, then you deserve to be put in jail. Like seriously, that's the way I feel like it. And now that's like, oh, that's a dictator, that's a communist thing. But it's like, no, maybe not jail. Maybe just publicly shun. Be like, oh, hey, look, this person's got all this money and they haven't done anything yet. Oh, and see, let's talk about that. How much time do we got left? Okay, a good 5 minutes. All right, so a little bit of the Bible thing, yes, a lot of people I know would be rolling their eyes, but, so they talk about, there's a part in the Bible that says, what is it? Don't point out the speck in someone else's eye without first removing the log of your own, and then don't boast about your accomplishments. Basically, it's the general gist of that. So it's saying, you know, be careful judging other people and also be careful about bragging. Because even though it is good, we need to be doing things and we need to know that everybody's doing these good things. We also don't need to go shout it and trumpet because that's where you get into the dangerous area where you start to seek the kudos, the congratulations, the gold stars, you know, and then you start seeking it too much to where if you don't get it, then you start thinking something's wrong. And then it's like, oh, validation issues. And it's hard because people can say that and just throw out a term like that. And it is offensive because that could be an underrepresentation of what's actually going on. Like the bigger picture is often much more complication than just one. And that's why we talk about pigeonholing. You know, the relevancy and irrelevancy of labels is that idea that I keep mentioning is like, you know, hey, how relevant is this? Like, to what degree is this a factor? Because here's the other thing. It could seem like a huge factor given other situations and aspects of the environment. Like, if you're hungry, that's why most people's solution is just keep throwing food at the problem. You know, if they have food, then they're good. Or, okay, now they need shelter. Well, let's just throw shelter at them. Okay, well, now they need, you know, we are very needy people. I mean, but that's okay because it's not like any are more so or less so needy than the others. It's just that their needs, how do they say that? Their perception. Perception is reality. And that's what my dad had a Zippo. Yeah, he was a smoker. But yeah, see, there I am pigeonholing my own dad. Like, oh, and then you think about Stephen King's the Dark Tower series. I have forgotten the face of my father. I love that series because it's so well written. I read it. I didn't even finish it yet, and I have a problem with that. I don't like to finish things because then they're done. And it's like, oh, so I like to keep my finger in it and like be like, okay, I need to go back and finish that one day, and then maybe one day I will. Probably not, but I will remember that fondly. Like it's like keeping a tab open in Chrome, and I'm bad with that too. It's like, you know, oh, I want to keep tabs on that, literally, and then maybe one day when I have time. But now I'm to the point where I'm like, I've already got like a mountain of things that I can do, that I should do. So now it's up to me to make the decisions of what is probably the best thing to be doing. And really, that's why I play a lot of Minecraft, is because the world is a stressful place. And playing this game with the peaceful music and the nice, simple, the way that things fit together, and they always fit together, it's expected, or you can expect the behavior. You can replicate the behavior. If I want to build this tree right back, I can put it exactly how it was. I can totally destroy things. And even if I can't, I can reset it and start over like an Etch-a-Sketch. Like these concepts that we've been doing throughout human history, oh, Minecraft. And that's why I'm going to keep doing the thing. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I've actually been approached by a few philanthropy things now, so we're going to figure that out. But basically, all we got to do is convince the right person to do the right business model to get Minecraft to everybody. Boom. Like, there you go. We could even do like communal, or I don't know. Or maybe that's just it. Maybe it just needs to be a free game. Oh, but then they need to make money too, and that's the thing. And they've got jobs, and they, you know, so you can't just make it free. Like then the people wouldn't keep developing it. Although then again, I don't know. I don't know. It's so tricky because I've bought this game multiple times. Like I got a version for my PS4, I got a version for my Switch, I got a version for the computer. Like, and Microsoft's trying to cut down on that too. They're trying to encourage people to use the one license for life because that's one thing that causes Americans some hardship because we almost have to have a Microsoft license because you can't really do computers without it. And then you got Apple too. So now Apple's coming in and thinking it's like, okay, well, Apple came and did a bunch of things different where it's more secure for now, but it's also more convenient in certain ways. So like direct feedback, I don't know. It's all it's going to continue to get better, but it's not a sustainable business model, and that's the thing. Like iPhone sustains it by selling new phones like every year and making a big deal out of it, and all of the money that people suck in, and the people that can afford it, yeah. But then the people that can't afford it, that causes problems, like causes bullying, basically. Like, okay, wait, no, it's the kid's responsibility. Are you kidding me? Like, sorry, now I'm having to argue with myself, but this is like playing the devil's advocate. Like, you got to think about the blind spots as they occur and then handle each blind spot that you can and then document the ones that you can. And that's what you do in computer science. So, like, say I need to write a program for what's a good one? Oh, this one that really got me was moving a person around a maze. Like, they gave us the code that you could move them, but then you had to code, like, Or how did that work? They gave us the map. There we go. They gave us the map, and they gave us the ways to move them, and then we had to do it with what we knew. So we had to tell the computer to move the character to change the location, basically. Anyways, then there's the alarm, so that's another 30 minutes. But the idea is like, okay, so you get in like, oh, I know how to do this, and so you start programming it. But they were smart. They would throw in things that would force you to run into issues, to run into bugs, be like, okay, now do this. And then you try to do it. You're like, wait a minute, the algorithm or the code that I wrote or the thing that I built, the thing that worked, it doesn't work anymore. And that is a huge frustrating thing in computer science. So, um, oh shoot, let's get some water in this. I need to mop. I don't know. See, that's a funny thing. I've worked in several restaurants and I know how to keep a restaurant clean and I know how to sweep and mop and do all that. And then you get home, I mean, I sweep just fine. That's the easy one. But setting up a mop bucket and actually doing a mop, because I've also seen like, I grew up watching my parents on their hands and knees, even using knee pads to scrub the floors, and like, just trying to think like, well, how do I get this clean, or how do I keep it like that clean? And so, and then the wealthy people, the Trumps and the Bidens and all that, like, maybe not so much Biden, but definitely the Trumps, like, probably never had to worry about cleaning things. Probably had a maid, or maybe just stayed in a hotel. But then there's a whole other problem solving set. Like, what if his parents weren't around enough? So then, the needs aren't getting met for that. So there's so many things that once you start unraveling these things, you start like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But that's not fair, and we need to make it fair. And we need to make the problem set universal to where everybody has the same problems. Like, oh, I'm being targeted by the IRS, or oh, I'm like, people are trying to break into my house to steal my stuff. Like, well, think about that. Like, why do you have so much? I'm just kidding. I'm not saying like go steal from things. Don't break the law, of course, but we need to make it to where people don't do it. That's the preventative nature. So, anyways, with that, I'm gonna do another episode, but I'm gonna maybe. There we go. I'll go sweep and mop, and then we'll do another one. All right, ta ta for now. I'll see you in a bit.